Hello. Since we're in year C of the lectionary, we read Luke's account of the Passion narrative on Palm Sunday. I hope you noticed some things that are not in Luke's account. Luke doesn't record Jesus as saying, my God, why have you forsaken me?" But rather, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they're doing." In Luke's account, Jesus is never forsaken by God. He's forsaken by humanity instead, by some of the most advanced humans on the planet. He's forsaken by Romans, whose civilization was the most developed the world has known, and by Jews, whose covenant intimacy with God was unique. These are the ones who sell him out. I mean, not all of them, of course, but many of them. They're the ones who steer him straight to a cross. Blasphemy was the church's case against him because he wouldn't deny being the child of God. Treason was the state's case against him because he allowed his followers to call him their king. Both church and state feared him because he was stirring up the people. They accused him of subverting religion and undermining the nation. And I guess he was doing both. So maybe the scandal of Jesus' death was not that an innocent man died, but that he was killed in the name of justice and faith by people who believed they were doing the right thing. When Caiaphas, the high priest, hears that a Galilean is stirring up the people around Passover time, he knows that's trouble. Passover tended to get the crowd worked up anyway, since it celebrated their escape from Egypt, their former oppressor. The celebration often stirred their resentment against Rome, their current oppressor. Anyone could see that a revolt could result in many deaths, so better one die than many. Without the agitator, the crowd would be calm. Likewise, Pilate had nothing personal against Jesus. He tried to maintain a cordial relationship with the local authorities, but he also wanted to appear sufficiently tough. So he couldn't put up with every agitator who came along. As we read, when the Sanhedrin sent Jesus to Pilate, Pilate tried to send him back. The last thing he needed was to get involved in some religious dispute. When someone mentioned that Jesus was a Galilean, Pilate thought he could pawn him off on Herod, the governor of Galilee, who was in town for Passover. Let him deal with Jesus. But after playing cat and mouse with Jesus a while, Herod sent him back to Pilate. And 3 more times Pilate tries to release him, but when it became clear that the people wanted blood, Pilate acquiesced. There was no need in defending one man if it enraged everyone else. And they were all just doing their jobs. They did away with God in the name of peace and quietness, writes Dorothy Sayers. They did away with him in the name of law and order. Barbara Brown Taylor writes that Jesus was not killed by vice and corruption. He was killed by piety and due process, but not before he pardoned them both. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. That's what Jesus says in Luke. It's clear that Jesus was saying this to God, but about whom was he saying it? Are we included among those Jesus asked God to forgive? Luke is notoriously ambiguous about this and won't let any of us off the hook. What we do know is that in those words, Jesus wanted the violence to stop with him. He did not want anyone punished for what happened to him, especially those people who don't know what they're doing. He would not participate in the value systems that were killing him. All along the way, he refused to play their game, trying to demonstrate another way to live. He didn't repay blame with more blame. He let them, he lets us, who shouted, Hosanna 1 minute and crucify him the next, walk away forgiven. Forgiven. That's the great good news of Easter. I look forward to seeing you tonight, Monday, Thursday, and on Sunday. See you then.